And it looks like we are live. I think we're live. We'll find out here in a few minutes. We are taking over Thursday Therapy, the Lemons Thursday Therapy. It's actually now a meeting of the Automotive Ascot Appreciation Society with myself, Alan Galbraith, and John Ficarra. John, how are you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Here in my coming to you live from my dining room, and it looks like we are indeed live. So the tens of people out there that are hungry to hear our blithering can actually hear it. That's it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. We'll upset everybody's lunch hour. Perfect.
Yes. So we are taking over the Thursday Therapy because everybody decent that works for Concours des Lemons and 24 Hours of Lemons and Lemons Rally is on a plane catching COVID-19 right now. They are flying to Lord knows where. They didn't even tell me. They just said, "Hey, we're going to be gone. We got to go set up a race. Here's the keys to the kingdom. You get to log in and broadcast live to the masses. So have fun." And then they ran away. So I have no way of contacting any of them. If you have any contact with them on all, please text them. They might be on Wi-Fi on the plane and say, "Hey, it's going great. These guys are hilarious." So we have no topics today. We have no structure to this today. It's kind of a free-for-all, and we can kind of do whatever we want. So we came up with a couple of topics to chat about. John, do you have anything off the top of your head that's burning a hole in the automotive world that you think we should discuss?
Oh, I've heard about the retirement of the CHP Crown Vics.
Yeah, they just last week took the last two out of service, and they had been in service since 2011. So if you want
they've been in service for longer than that. Crown
well, I
Vics,
mean
these particular cars.
These two particular cars, which I'm searching for the picture of, which I may or may not have. But yeah, these two particular cars had been in service since 2011. So that tells you how sturdy a Crown Vic is. If you want a very plush, very amazingly long-lived car, run out and get one of those, man. I can't imagine what those cars go through.
Oh, and those cars, they become cop cars, then they turn them into taxis, and they turn them into gypsy cabs. And a friend of mine actually raced one of those in the 2904 a few years back and set the record. That car had 350,000 miles on it, and he went coast to coast in like under 32 hours in that thing.
Wow. There we have a couple of them. The last two Crown Vics. Yeah, we found out at the very first 24 Hours of Lemons, we were racing a Caprice. So it was an A-arm front end car. We found out very early on that the A-arm cars were much sturdier than the McPherson strut cars. All it took was a tap of that front bumper right on a strut car's front wheel, and they were out of the race. Where the A-arm cars are nigh on indestructible, and as proved by these two cars still being in service up until this point. That is the CHP cars face. I can't even imagine the road conditions they face and the off-roading they do, and still plugging along. I imagine you can pick one up. What's the best Crown Vic in the world worth right now? 10 grand, if that.
You can pick up retired ones for, $2 or $3 grand that have been beat up.
Jeez.
Going. Yeah, it's going to be less and less now that the fleets are being depleted. It used to be when I did film cars, you could go to a city auction and pick them up for $800.
Right.
We'd use them in stunt work, but yeah, they're relics now. I mean, it's shocking they're still on the road.
I know, it's absolutely amazing, and great cars, lots of room in them. I mean, I'm a large individual and I fit in them perfectly. Comfortable for cruising down the road at 75 miles an hour for days on end. I mean, just an amazing car, and kind of the last of its breed in the American car pantheon.
It just shows you where American cars are going. I mean, even the CHP's been taken over by SUVs, or the perception that SUVs are better than a good sedan, where I would take this all day long over a big Explorer or whatever that they're driving now. Those cars,
certainly.
That's why they were in service for what? I mean, how long have they used Crown Vics? 30 years? It's amazing.
Oh yeah, 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 absolutely. And these were, also you look at, taxi fleets or black car fleets. These were the staple of them. And boy, if you want to talk something that's going to beat up a car, that's going to be it. Is inner city service.
Oh yeah, but plenty of parts.
Yeah. It's a sad day. Hey, do you remember when the CHP had Fox body Mustangs though? Remember that?
Yeah, and they were manual transmission Fox bodies, and every young rookie got a hold of one, put them around a pole. Like you had to be. They eventually changed the rules. You had to be older to drive one because those things were monstrously fast.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One bad thing about all the Crown Vics retiring is that at least people our age, our minds and our eyes are programmed for the rearview mirror of that look of a car.
Yep,
and it's like
and the headlights
out of the cop-looking vocabulary.
Yep, yeah, I will forever be burned in my mind what a Crown Vic headlight looks like in the rearview mirror while I'm going too fast on the freeway, and just go, oh no.
And how much fun people who had Crown Vics and Grand Marquis, but have like pulling up on you real fast from behind at night. And being like,
I want to look like a cop. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Well, that's. Let's see. We've killed 7 minutes. Wow, this is not going to go well. Well, another thing that just came up, to a little more topical, is just yesterday, Maserati introduced a new car. They introduced the MC20. Now let me load some pictures of this thing up here. I saw it, and I personally think they're absolutely gorgeous. But knowing Maserati's depreciation curve, I'm going to wait probably 3 years and be able to get one of these half off.
Easily.
Which, yeah, I think they're coming in at right around $200,000. Which isn't bad for what they're supposed to be. But like I said, Maserati isn't known for holding their value. They are in a race to the bottom with Rolls-Royce on depreciation. So thoughts on this car?
It's a pretty car. And don't get me wrong, Maserati's done beautiful coupes and sedans. This thing is stunning. But you got to wonder, what Ferrari is it based on? Like what's under the skin there? It has a lot of the cues of the older supercars that they were building. I love the pearl white, but it's interesting. Is this a hybrid? What is it? I don't know the engine specs on it.
From what I saw, real quick, it was a twin turbo V6. I didn't see if there was any hybrid. Don't know, but it was supposed to be putting out some 600 and something horsepower. So I'd imagine there's got to be some sort of power adding there going on to pump that much out of a V6 it'd be kind of hard unless they've done some amazing engineering trickery, which would just add to the depreciation curve. I don't see how that would.
I wonder if this is the Ghibli 6 or they just turbocharged. Because they're not going to build a new motor or for anything. It just, I don't know, when the car manufacturers build new supercars and they're built burning gas, it just seems like everybody's just kind of biding the time before all these cars are crushed by electric supercars. Like building a beautiful car like that now, what's it going to be in 10 years? Are you going to be able to drive that thing in 10 years? They're already building a relic. I mean, look what Lotus did. Their electric car is phenomenal, and it's beautiful. This just seems like a step backwards.
Yeah, it seems like that's the way it's headed. I mean, on board with the electric revolution or not, it's definitely coming. I mean, people can have their own opinions about it. Personally, I think it's a great thing. It's just staggering to me that we've gone 120 years and we're still burning things, right, to make our cars go. And the basic concept of the engine hasn't really changed all that much in that time. So the next evolution is definitely due. Yeah, I got to agree with you. And I think, perhaps you look at the Corvette, the C8 Corvette, fantastic car, definitely a step in the right direction. And you look at it and go, could they electrify that? And I think they built it so that they can,
They did. Yeah, all the structure is built for the hybrid version. That was planned ahead of time. That was one of the issues that they were put back 6 months because the electrical was such a hot mess in that car. Like the first one just burned down. They were making room. They were trying to figure out how to get all those so they could update it later on.
Whoa,
And
whoa,
make
whoa, 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 whoa,
what?
whoa! A Corvette with electrical problems? No,
No. Surely you're not talking about a Pantera. No, I'm talking
no.
about. Yeah, but that was the problem. Is they were trying to lay out all the base work to have the updates ready to go, and they were burning down the bus systems all the time. But yeah, I mean, hopefully that's the way it goes. But that's why when Maserati comes out with this, you're like, he should have come out with this about 7 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
that would have worked out great. It would have kicked
I
everybody's
mean,
butt.
how long has the GT been in production? 2008, 2009 was it? So they've been riding that horse for a long time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, and none of them have aged well. I just got to drive a 2003 coupe with the V8 in it. What a hunk of crap! Oh my God, there was nothing in that car that hadn't dissolved under sunlight or the exposure to ozone. It was like every single tactile surface had kind of fallen apart, and everything didn't work. Everything was loose. The shifter was. I mean, this car was a disaster. Like, I can't imagine what thing's going to be like in 10 years. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I saw a picture of that car. Now, did you end up purchasing that, or was that just come through your possession?
That was offered to me during the shoot for as a YouTube series called Car Trek that I was working on. And they, at the end of the shoot, they're like, "You want to buy it for $5,000?" I'm like, no. I did for a second. I was like, a $5,000 Maserati V8, maybe, but I drove it and it was so disgusting. So instead, I bought, they had a 2007 V10 M6, which I bought off the set. I got that for $7,000 for a V10.
Ooh.
That thing's badass. And still actually drives in a straight line and things work in it, which is fascinating.
Wow. So you're just not afraid of rod bearings at all? Is that?
The car's got over 100,000 miles, so I figured it made it this far. It probably either has been done already or it's not going to happen. Or it's wishful thinking. It's 7,000
yeah. I don't know. Well, that's a gamble. As long as you're ready just to light that on fire and let it go, that's probably okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is an absolutely gorgeous car. I think it's a good design move for Maserati. If they have a hybrid or a pure electric version waiting in the wings, we'll see. Corvette, the Chevrolet is certainly doing okay with the Corvette, selling every one they can make. With an internal combustion engine. We'll see how long that lasts until, what do you think the projection is? 5 years before the full electric version, or 10?
Oh, it can't be more than 5 years, really.
Yeah.
Because, Tesla's going to have their sports car coupe fully going by then. There's going to be a ton of manufacturers that are going to have, there's definitely going to be an electric Porsche. There's going to be an electric ton of cars. So if they're not there in 5 years, which GM is not known for being on top of any trend. It took them how long to make this car? So I estimate Corvette catching up to the rest of the pack 2052.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right. Well, neat car. I can't wait to see one in the flesh. I imagine they're probably going to sell well. Probably not as well as some other cars, just because 200,000 for a Maserati that's going to be worth about 70,000 in 4 years. Not a lot of people are going to be willing to take that bite. So I can't wait to see one at Cars and Coffee. Can't wait to drive one, but I'm not rushing out to buy one.
No.
No. So speaking of cars that probably haven't aged well, let's see. Let's. How about a Kellison?
Oh
Do
boy.
those age well? Now,
So,
who do we know
hmm,
that owns a Kellison? Who would be dumb enough to buy one of those?
somebody who really knew the kit car market in 1960. Somebody who had a refined taste for fiberglass that didn't fit, or frames that were stick welded by blind men. Oh, maybe Jay. Maybe Jay.
Jay Lamb, yeah, Jay Lamb. He has been known to buy some stupid cars, and the Kellison is kind of up there. So it's been through a couple of lives in its attempted restoration. It's gone to a couple of different people to see if they could sort it out. And Jay actually even entered it into the virtually awful Concours des Le Mans. There's a picture of him with it in his garage, looking surprisingly put together, but looks can be deceiving. So and I understand it is now in your possession to try to sort things out. Is that correct?
That is correct. Jay has sent it to Ficarra Classics for some improvement, which on this car is anything. Anything is it. I've been doing this for decades, and I haven't run into a more poorly assembled, cared for car as this piece of crap. And if anybody work on this, whoever worked on this before, I don't salute you. In fact, I think you should go crawl in a hole, because every single bolt was loose on the entire car that we went through the whole thing. I mean, up to a point of being dangerous. But
Right.
they put the interior together with self-tapping screws. It's like somebody built a Lemons car. Like, so there's self-tapping screws sticking through the fenders at the tires in all directions. Here's my favorite thing. Jay's like, it made a little grinding sound in the back, and he thought the e-brake was hanging up, which it was. So we got it ready. It took about 5 hours just to get it safe enough for me to take it for a test drive. And we took it out. I went about down my driveway, down the street, and it was making the unusual noise, which got louder. So I turned around and came back, and I asked my guys to take off the differential cover. And sure enough, the differential was just empty. It had never been filled. There wasn't a drop of oil in it. He had been driving it completely dry.
Oh, geez.
So the rear end was torched. It's one nightmare after another. The engine was assembled incorrectly. The carburetor was 3 different carburetors put together to make it look like a double pumper, which didn't work. And we're 50 hours into it already and still finding shameful things in this car.
Boy.
It's going to take a while to sort out. But we're hoping in about a month, we've got it running and driving enough we can start actually flogging it and testing it. But it's not good.
And then you come down to, even the best assembled, best cared for Kellison in the world is a fiberglass kit car bolted onto a Corvette frame, is what I believe they used. Is that a correct assumption?
Originally they were C1 Corvette. They put a body on a C1 Corvette to make it sleeker and cooler. But this particular one that he has, Kellison, who was as much a con artist as Carroll Shelby was, if not more, he built his own frame. So this has a Kellison chassis and a Kellison body. It has basically a C1 front suspension, barely, and this one's got a Chevy S10 live axle in the rear. But this was Kellison's attempt at building almost a whole car.
And C1 Corvette running gear was basically 1949 Chevy running gear that they pulled off the shelf. Hey, let's slap this together and make a sports car. So you've got a massively overpowered, massively under-engineered fiberglass car with huge tires on it. So basically, and these were drag cars back in the day. I mean, you're basically driving a thinly disguised drag car with horrible chassis components.
Oh, I've lost your audio. Have you lost
Oh
me?
no. Nope. I still have you.
I can't hear you.
Oh no.
I'm sure you're saying fascinating things, but I can't hear. Oh, it's a Lemons broadcast for sure.
Yes, indeed. Well, looks like I still have you here, so we'll just keep jabbering. See if that does anything.
Can you hear me, Alan? Wave your hand if you can hear me. Oh, then I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you. I'll just pretend what you're saying is brilliant and insightful. Or just call me on the phone. I don't know what to do at this point.
Here, let me give you a buzz. I'll put you on speakerphone so you can hear me.
Ah, there we go.
Recent.
Hey, Cody, can you give me my charger and plug it in for me? Thanks. Thanks.
Ah, there we go. Ring, ring, ring. Hello, there we are.
Now I can hear you. So I'll talk to you on the phone online. I don't know what happened to the audio. That was weird.
That's really strange. I wonder if anybody else can still hear me out there. If you are on the Facebook page, please let me know if my audio is still coming through. If not, I will change it. My computer is saying it's still coming through, so we shall see. But anyway, now that we can talk again.
Yeah. So Kellison.
Yes.
That's where we were at. Yes.
Yeah, Kellison, it's basically a thinly disguised drag car. These were, used as drag cars back in the day, and it's a chintzy fiberglass body with a great big motor and an inadequate chassis and 1949 Chevy suspension parts. So it's even the best one in the world. It's just going to be horrific to drive. I mean, it's not going to be fun.
No, well, they had some people road race them as well. And believe it or not, Lord March from Goodwood fame actually owns one, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So it can't be that bad if he's got it, or at least that dangerous if he has it, or maybe he likes crazy, dangerous, horrible stuff. But yeah, when I'm done with Jay's, it will be safe. And I don't know how fast it'll be, but it will be safe. It's only got a 283 in it, so it's not like built out with a big block or anything crazy like that.
Right.
So we'll make sure Jay doesn't die. I think that was mission 1. We don't kill Jay.
Yeah, that is a good mission. Yeah, and we've had a couple. Pulling up a picture of it here. We've had a Kellison show up to my billet-proof events in the past, and just great looking cars, very sexy.
Beautiful. Yeah.
But just not the best executed thing in the world. And that's kind of a theme with these 50s and 60s specialty cars. I had a Muntz Jet, which was a cool, really neat car. But just there's the Kellison that comes out to the billet-proof hot rod show.
Oh yeah.
Gorgeous car, done up as a drag car, looks mean as heck, and is really, really fast. But these things, when I was looking at my at the Muntz, I'm looking under the hood and I'm looking at the cross member, and I'm thinking, man, this thing's been hit at some point. And I knew Bill Warner owned one, so I called Bill Warner and said, hey Bill, I'm looking at this Muntz and I think it's been hit. He goes, what makes you think it's been hit? And I said, well, I'm looking at the welds on the cross member, and they're just bubblegum welds, and there's stitch welds and all this crap. And he's like, oh no, that's how they made them. They're that bad, right? And I've heard that repeated from several owners of specials from the era, that they're not always that well engineered. They may look good on the outside, but boy, once you get under the paintwork, there's some ugliness going on.
And that went for even the small manufacturers like Ferrari. If you take an old Ferrari apart, they are welded together by blind children drunk on wine. It's like the welds are horrible. It looks horrible underneath. They're gorgeous on the outside. But that was typical. You think about the welding techniques they had back then, the jigs they had, and the time frame they had to build these cars in. So, a lot of the handmade stuff wasn't that attractive, but things like this Kellison on the outside, like Jay painted it a beautiful blue, and I think it's gorgeous looking, and the interior came out real nice. But yeah, it's the engineering underneath was lacking. So hopefully we can use some modern techniques to update it a bit. But yeah, I can see how do you still have that Muntz jet?
No, I do not. I sold it to the world's largest collector of Muntzes. He now has 7 of them, wow. Which is approximately a quarter of them left in the world. And mine was the only road-going, unrestored Muntz jet in the world. All the rest had been redone. So this one was fairly original, and had pictures of it with Madman Muntz himself. Kind of a cool car and neat story behind it.
Very cool.
Yeah, and talking about these cars that aren't made well, we had an Aston Martin DB5 show up to the Concours des Limons in Pebble Beach one year, and I said, "Come right on in," right? And people were saying, "Why do you have this? Is a worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars? It's this beautiful car. Why can just any car get into the Concours des Limons now? I thought you had to have a shitty one, right?" And I said, "Go talk to the owner about this thing." And he's like, "Oh no, it's terrible. You look underneath. I mean, these things were made by people in a shed with hammers, right? They look gorgeous, but the craftsmanship, it's not that great."
No.
Even on something like that, this venerated car. So
somebody commented that most people in C1s were impaled by the steering column. And believe it or not, the Kellison follows in suit. The steering column in this thing, they didn't put a collapsible steering column in, whoever built this thing. So it's just got a nice shaft of steel that should just go straight through Jay's chest, right about here.
Nice.
We might have to fix that if we want to save Jay.
Yeah, my parents had a 54 Corvette and hated it. They had it in I think 1960, so it wasn't too old. And my dad said it was just an awful car. They were into rallying at the time, right?
It was a tractor.
It was slow. It didn't handle well. Like I said, it had late 40s Chevrolet suspension on it. And the most interesting thing is they drove it as a daily. It didn't have roll-up windows. It had windows that just set in.
Yeah.
And the interior of the car was one piece of fiberglass. So when it rained, the water came in through there, down into the footwells. And my mom recounted going on rallies being literally ankle deep in water because it would collect down in the footwells. And my dad had to drill holes in the bottom so it would just leak out. And just a terrible car. Beautiful as all get out. I mean, gorgeous looking cars, but awful to drive and own.
Yep. Yeah, they didn't do terribly well until the V8 came out and saved them, because they were going to can the Corvette until the V8 came along. That transformed that car and actually gave it what it needed. But what was it, the flamethrower or something like that? Straight six.
The Blue Flame. The Blue Flame.
Oh,
yeah.
Pig. That was a truck motor. It was awful.
Yep, and it was clad in all kinds of tin. My dad said the first thing I did was take all that tin cladding off and just strip it down so you could see the block and actually work on the engine. Just a gorgeous looking, and struck the right note in the market at the time. But boy, just what a clunker, man.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's you're going to get a lot of grief saying stuff like that. But all these sacrosanct cars, they're not really sometimes all that great.
Now, I always love when you can get out an old car like that and then you get beat to death by a baseline Civic. It's like, is that a Civic DX? He's going to kick my ass.
Yes. Yep.
Your old Corvette.
Yep. That'd be an interesting video series, is do lineups with muscle cars of the 50s and 60s against my mother-in-law in her 2004 Camry, down at the drag strip, and see who's going to win. I bet you it's the Camry,
And even with your grandmother driving, the Camry would still win.
Bingo. Yep. Exactly. Yes, indeed. So we're halfway through.
All right.
Do you think we have another half hour in us that we can bore people to death with?
Us talking about cars? I don't know. Could we possibly talk for another half an hour? There we go.
It counted down for some reason.
How exciting.
I don't know why it did. So what's on your plate these days? But aside from Jay's Kellis.
Oh, we got a bunch of projects here for Car Classic. So, I mean, we got the M6 I just got from the shoot, and we're getting that put back together. I've got my 911S, 69 911S, which we're finishing up the restoration on. We've got a ton of stuff. And then in a couple of months now, we've got Lemons at Sonoma, which means it's time to resurrect the Suprona and get that ready to race. So that gets a new ECU and injectors because we're converting it to run an ethanol. So
well, sure. That
right.
would be, why wouldn't you, right?
Well, it's at $10 a gallon for race gas because that the 1JZ in that form requires like 100 octane, so it doesn't like blow itself up. So we were spending $900 a weekend on fuel, and ethanol is $2.50 a gallon. So we'll use a little bit more of it, but in the long run we'll save. Plus it runs a whole lot cooler, and since we're running the radiator in the back seat, that helps a lot too.
Sure. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, so it'll be good for us in lots of ways. Plus it's a turbo, so ethanol's got a most eternal, unlimited octane, so we can turn the boost all the way up, and ethanol won't care. Not that we're going to do that much boosting. We don't want to boost the engine into oblivion. It is endurance racing after all. So we got to get that. Right. And that only ran once at the Ridge last year and didn't run well at all. And because of COVID, we couldn't get the team together to finish it this year. So December is the goal to get the Suprona, Big Tokyo, Little Fist of Fire back on the track.
Okay, well, I will probably be a judge there, and knowing that you have gone to those extents to run ethanol there, I don't know that we're going to give any penalty laps to that because it's doomed to fail. You know that, right? It's gonna blow up in some spectacular fashion.
Oh, of course, but you're not allowed to give this car any penalty laps because it's exempt per Judge Phil, which is the reason we built it. We built it. There's actually a video that they did for one of the things about this car, about this exemption, because he dared us. We had the Supra, which was way too fast, cheaty engine. He hated it. He'd never let us win. So he told us we could put the driveline in a pre-75 Toyota and we'd never get another penalty lap. So that's what we did. Enough. So the Corona, which is, there's nothing to it. It's just old sardine cans left over from World War II that they welded together to make a car. It's so we basically put all the Supra underneath the Corona. And it's not going to go well anyway. There's no, there's no way. It'll be fun though. Yeah.
That's one of the fun things to try to explain to people, in the real racing world, that, hey, these are $500 cars, and then you get something like this that, you've put a couple of cars together that don't belong together, and you obviously spend a lot of time and money and effort, and that's not $500. It's like, doesn't matter. It's going to blow up on lap 12, so we let it run just because we want to see that happen. We encourage that kind of stupidity, and that's something that real racers don't get. And
listening to Judge Phil is the height of stupidity. So,
yes, definitely. Yeah. I don't know if he's come up with it, but I would put forth a Isuzu Marine diesel exemption. You can put one of those in just about anything and get no penalty laps. It's going to run forever at about 4 miles an hour, right?
If we come up with a new tractor class in Lemons, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Rolling chicanes. That's all it would be.
Yes.
But it would be fun just to watch the diesel smoke coming out because there's so many people who love to roll the coal, you got to roll the coal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're owning the environmentalists by doing that, aren't you? Yeah, you really are.
Show them.
Oh man, so that's working up at your place. Anything else on the horizon?
We've got. Well, I'm putting together now. Some people know me from Lemons, and some people know me from different things. I also been a cannonballer for over a decade and ran the 2904, which was a cannonball. So we always claimed it was going to be the last 2904, which that I did did it for 10 years, and I did 8 events, and that was the last one. But next year is the 50th anniversary of the Cannonball Run, of the first one that they did back in '71. So we're going to do a 50th anniversary run, and what I'm proposing, we're calling it the Musket Ball, and we're going to do a real cannonball, but the only rule is going to be, it can't have more than 100 horsepower at the rear wheels.
Ooh.
And then it can be any year. It can be a modern car or it can be an old car, but you can't have more than 100 horsepower at the rear wheels. That'll level the playing field completely, and it won't make it so dangerous. Because as you know, I think the record now is around 25 hours coast to coast, and it's gotten crazy. And a couple of good friends of mine, Arnie and Doug, those guys just said it, and it's bonkers. It's off the charts. It's like doing it sub 26 hours. You're averaging over 108 miles an hour. So we came up with this idea, which celebrates the feel of the Cannonball. And we're going to do a mass start. So everybody will start at once, and it'll just be this horrific, slog across the United States in underpowered, horrible, cheap cars.
Right.
I think that'll be more of a terror to the people going by than a fast car, but we'll see how it works out. We're going to try to do that next year, probably next fall. So we're working on that right now. And we had a bunch of events planned this year for COVID, took over and killed us. We were going to do a run up to Alaska with my company, Drive a Go-Go, which does these road adventures. And we were going to drive to Alaska for the 4th of July and jump cars off the cliff for the finale on the 4th of July. And we couldn't do that. And we were working Go ahead.
Ed Bullion had a plan for his Mercedes to do just that. Yes.
Yeah, Ed's part of Drive a Go-Go, and so is Ben Wilson, who put together the C2C. And this was kind of our baby. We're going to get this thing going with that event. And he bought the Mercedes to do, and he had a sponsor. He was going to polish it or something with their polish and then jump it off a cliff to prove that their polish works or something. And he's all like, oh man, I don't get a chance I got to appease my sponsors. We got to blow this thing up or shoot it with cannons or something. So we're working on how we can destroy that car.
I could come up with a few ideas.
Sure.
Definitely. Well, very cool. That's I look forward to it. Now that you've said it, cross country in a 100 horsepower car.
So what would you pick? 100 horsepower at the wheels, right? What would a car would you pick?
It'd be awfully tempting just to go get a rental car and do it, because you can get any, Camry or something like that. But that's too easy. That's the obvious answer.
Yeah.
I'd do Corvair. I'd go Corvair.
Sweet.
That'd be a good way to go. Yeah. Great cars. I'm kind of a Corvair fanatic. I just, I've got one sitting in the yard that's waiting for some love right now.
Turbo?
Yeah, I think you could.
Would you turbo it?
No, I would not, because then you get 140 horsepower, which I don't know what that would translate to at the rear wheel. I don't know if you'd get enough loss. Yeah. But the stock, 110 Monza, that might be the way to go with that.
Well, you're officially invited if you'd like to participate in the foolishness.
Very good, very good.
I've got about a dozen teams already ready to go, and we've had everything from Volkswagen Bugs to a first generation Honda Insight, and that guy's like, he's good, right. So what we're gonna do is we have a party the night before with a dyno, and we're gonna dyno everybody's cars, and then you get penalties if you go over 100 horsepower.
Well, the Corvair it'd be pretty safe, especially if you went with the 2-speed Power Glide transmission on a 110 horsepower at the crank engine. I think you'd be pretty safe there.
That's with like a 35% parasitic loss on that transmission.
Exactly. Yeah. And going cross country with a 2-speed transmission, I think that's a pretty good challenge.
Yeah, I'd love to see you trying to get through the high plains in Nebraska, just we got 40 miles an hour. Yeah, it's working out great.
Yeah, where the throttle is basically tone control, just wah wah wah. Yeah.
Well, I found one of the original. They built back in 1985, they built 12 Cannonball Edition Audi 4000 S's. And they were built by Brumos down in Florida. And they disappeared over the years. Ed Bolian found chassis 1. I just found chassis 11. So that's we're going to run that. It's because the Quattro had like 115 horsepower back then. So there's no way it has over 100 at the wheels right now. So we're going to drive an actual Cannonball Edition Brock Yates Audi 4000. So it'd be a lot of fun.
That is awesome. That is very cool. Now, what's the first one to the Portofino wins? Is that the?
Yeah, since we're going to do a mass start, it's not even going to be about time. It's whoever gets there first. And then everybody will just wait as the cars hopefully arrive, or rental cars arrive, or as they arrive on the bus or by plane, or however you're going to finish. But yeah, that's the idea. And then we're going to petition the Peterson Museum to see if they'll let us have a cannonball party there. Because everybody who's running will be past or maybe future cannonball champions. So everybody will be running in it. So we'll have lots of folks, and I think it'd be a great party for the Peterson to celebrate, even though it's a terrifically illegal activity, which is always the issue. But the Peterson's kind of cool that way. Yeah. Yeah,
they get it, and there is some discussion as to, is it irresponsible anymore to do the cannonball, and certainly the speeds that are being achieved are, there's some discussion that, back in the day it was fine. Well, it was pretty risky then too. It just, was more of an underground thing, especially when you consider how far car safety and, tire technology has come. Right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like you look at some of the cars they ran back then, they were running Cadillacs with, drum brakes and big engines and no airbags and whatever. Like, yeah, it was just as dangerous as it was then. I just go on record constantly, because that's the reason we created the 2904, was we didn't want to do these kind of rich douchebag runs where you spend $250,000 on spotter planes and equipment. And we wanted to do it kind of with simplicity and inexpensively. I admire what they've done, but
sure,
I would never want to do it. I don't think it's the wisest thing to do. I wouldn't want to put people in danger driving those kind of speeds. I mean, Arnie and Doug averaged, I think, to Denver, they averaged 120 miles an hour to Denver, and then they slowed down after that. And you got to think of the kind of speeds they must have been traveling at nonstop. And they had people leading them out, and they had spotters, and they had all kinds of cool stuff. But I don't know, that kind of stuff takes away from the fun. I always thought it was a really fun thing. I guess I was more akin to the movie than I was to the actual Brock Yates runs. Yeah.
Yeah, and like anything, with car customizing or racing or anything, it's going to evolve, and it's going to, someone's going to outdo the other one, and they're going to do what it takes to outdo it. And now that these fairly amazing numbers have been set, someone's going to try, right?
Yeah.
Eventually somebody is going to think it's a good idea to go and break that. And I don't know if it is. I mean, there are just some things that, that's reached its peak, and maybe that's where it should stay. Someone's going to give it a shot,
We thought that when Ed did his 28-hour run. We're like, okay, nobody's even going to try to beat that. But we're in the 25-hour range now. That's getting into insanity. And COVID definitely helped these runs, to be sure. There were fewer vehicles on the road, but I love it. These guys are commenting 100 horsepower at the rear wheels. How much for the front wheels?
Yeah, 500 horsepower at the front wheels.
Front wheels. Okay, to clarify, 100 horsepower at the wheels.
At the wheels. Yes.
All of the wheels. Jeez. All right, Hansel, if you show up with a 500 horsepower Citroën, we might make a exemption.
Make an exemption. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got some Lemons car spotting here. We were set up with some.
How many LeBarons can we see? Oh, look.
Yeah, right off the top. Yeah, a New Yorker. Wow. Who knew these were still on the road?
Grandma, still needs to drive. Like these K-car luxury editions crack me up. Look how much that rear window is covered in the back seat. Like you're gonna get claustrophobic up there, so they can have a little extra vinyl. They covered the rear vent window
to make it look good, and all velour interior. I mean, it's, you know, that had to have been just the height of luxury back then, to sit down. If you sat down in your velour shirt in your velour car, you know, how soft must that have been?
And that car's got the window covers, the rain covers on it. So you could roll like that with the windows down. It didn't matter. That thing was luxury, rain or shine.
Indeed. Yep.
With its 2-liter 4-cylinder.
Who ever thought that, you know, we'd be excited to see one of these on the road, right? I mean,
I'm not excited.
They weren't great back in the day. They're not great now. But, you know, shockingly, you can still find really, really good ones for a couple grand. I mean, they're, you know, I don't know what a bad one is, if beyond free, but I remember looking at one for taking to a Radwood event, and it was like, it was $2,000 and it was in excellent shape. So, I mean, that's,
only the finest Iacocca machine ever, really.
Yes.
Oh,
speaking of cheap cars, you know, I graduated high school. I can proudly say I'm old enough to have gone to high school in the 70s. I went to high school started high school in 79 and graduated.
Awesome.
Yes, in 83. And this was the height of high school parking lot, you know, fashion back in the day. These were dirt cheap, and boy,
you get the Duster with the slant six, the indestructible slant six, and the 3 in the tree, or you could get the sweet 318 in there. Woohoo!
Yep. That was the big one, man. But these were dirt cheap back in the day, and then just disappeared, man. They're nowhere to be seen. You know, even 10, 15 years ago, you could still see these, you know, in the newspaper classifieds, and then at the very start of Craigslist they would pop up, but they are just absolutely nowhere now.
Yeah. They are junkyard Bettys, that's for sure.
Yep. All right, here's one. This is awesome. A Lotta 4x4.
4x4. It's that is actually an awesome little car. Like,
now, what was the base on this? Was this a Fiat Panda or something that just got jacked up? Or
they basically Lotta ripped off the early Fiats. They built them out of thicker steel, like thicker Russian steel. That's essentially what they are. And these little Lotta 4x4s, and I've seen guys, they convert them to 6 wheels. They make an additional 2 wheels at the back. And, they will go over or around or up and under anything. They're tough little machines. I mean, you're not going to go very fast, but they're cool.
Yeah. Now the way these keep popping up is, you know, you could get these in Canada. They couldn't come to the United States because, you know, the evil communist empire, but you could get them in Canada. And, you know, every now and then some of them sneak across the border in kind of this shape, you know, the rust starting to show through and been beat to heck, but kind of a fun car.
I love the running boards on this, the 70s van running boards. Those are sweet. Because you're going to need a running board to get into that car.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, speaking of Isuzu diesels.
Oh, God.
There you go.
The pup. And I love that it's diesel apostrophe up. Like, pup.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody at the marketing company, you know, in Isuzu marketing patted themselves on the back for that. Oh, it's cool and hip, and this'll be it, you know. This'll make it sell.
That'll be it. Not the fact that it was the slowest mini pickup truck of its day.
Diesel and maybe 40 horsepower, 50 horsepower tops?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I can remember passing these things in my Volkswagen Bug back in the day. Like, they were painfully slow.
Yep. Just awful trucks and with an awful engine.
And the owners were always
Let's
so proud. Like they were always just like,
Oh
this
yeah.
is a fantastic, I'm driving a diesel. Roll coal, baby. Look, I'm saving money. Like, oh, no, no, no.
Oh, save your
Ah,
self-esteem.
Chevelle.
Chevelle just sitting on the side of the road and not in that great a shape. Doesn't look like it's
Most of them look like this. You know, they're the projects that, oh, I'm going to get some mags for that and a blower, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to do it next year. Next year, I'm just
yeah.
going to do it. This is a
Well,
next year car.
this one is in Panama, of
Wow.
all places. Yeah. So I would imagine not many of them. It says not many of them left there, and I would imagine so. They probably all rusted away in the
Yeah.
jungle.
That's
But
from Panama. I'm going to say that's a concours car.
exactly, yeah. But yeah, that's exactly what that is. In the United States, that would be oh no, I'm going to fix it up someday, and it just kind of sits there and gets ignored, and it's not good enough to drive to Cars and Coffee, so it never gets used.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yep. Yeah, poor old cars like that. Whoops, I think I lost John. Well, it's just me now. You get the Allen show. Let's send John another invite. I think he went away here. Let's see if he's still on the phone. You still there, John? Oh, okay. Let me see. Somehow you went away. Oh, there we are. Show and stream. There we are. Okay.
Oh, funny. I can hear you again.
Oh, cool. Because I just hung up on you on the phone. This is perfect.
Oh, you fixed it. See, you fixed it. You fixed it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I meant to do that. Yes.
Genius.
So let's go on with what do we have here? Have we had one of these at Lemons yet? What is it? A 210 or 510?
Yeah, it looks like a Datsun 210. I'm sure somebody will jump up in the comments because they've been searching they're on Wikipedia right now trying to make us wrong, but it looks like a 210.
Yeah.
With the US impact bumpers, which made every Japanese car look worse. Where every car looked worse.
Well, and that's one great thing the internet is for, is if you are ever questioning something, just go make a definitive statement on the internet and somebody will correct you,
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it looks like a 210. I don't know if any have race. I'm sure somebody has to have at this point.
Yeah, but with some other engine in it, apparently. Those folks they put Toyota engines in their Nissans or Datsuns, but that'd probably be a fine Lemons car. Absolutely fine Lemons.
Yeah. We had, speaking of Datsuns, we had a car I didn't know existed entered into the virtually awful Concours de Le Mans from down under. It was a 260C Cedric Wagon, which, yeah, exactly. It is, a Datsun Cedric Wagon with the 260Z engine in it, which we didn't get here in America, but they sold like hotcakes down under. And just a great car. And once I saw it, I'm like, I need that car. That's very cool.
So you're gonna get one? You're gonna send one up from underneath?
Well, I know where there are a couple of them now, and it's like, that'd be kind of a cool thing because nobody's ever seen them here. So
I'd love to see that car. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. All right. Let's get rid of this one and let's pull up the next car spotting. Woo.
We got classic Range Rover.
Yeah, that's kind of a gimme, an old Range Rover in San Francisco. I mean, shocker, right?
Yeah. And that one looks like it actually runs, but it does have mismatching tires, so that makes me feel better.
That's okay. That makes it a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like somebody's living
All right.
There we go.
Likely with the rate of the cost of living in San Francisco, that would be even with the repair bills, that'd be a cheap way to go.
Yep.
Let's see, what do we have here? This is
that's an Achieva.
Achieva.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at the beautiful design of that car. Oldsmobile had it right.
The Achieva.
It's even got like slightly minor look of a fender skirt in the back with the straight coach line over it. Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Now, what was this? What were these based on? I mean, other than wishful thinking. I mean,
Is this so like this would have been the Chevy because they're all the same damn thing. It would have been
right.
like a Buick Century and or a Chevy. Well, it's too late for the. What would that be in a Chevy? I don't know.
I don't know, but that
Even worse.
Yeah, even worse. Yeah, not as luxurious.
No.
Yeah,
no,
just that
that. Thank you, Jake.
Buick. Yeah, that body style. Wow, somebody was so proud when they did that.
That's one of the few cars where you see the back door is actually bigger than the front door. Look at the
That is weird.
That's luxury. That's so you can fit a full-size American in the back seat.
Yeah.
Got a
yes,
wedge
indeed.
grandma back there. Well, you know, grandma's pushing 300 pounds, so we got to get her back seat.
Oh, that is certainly a rare sight. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, that's so much right there.
I'm loving that. Loving it. Got
yeah.
Continental kit on the back.
And the candy paint. Definitely all day long. That's, lowriders are lowriders and bombs. For those of you that aren't from the Northern California area, there is a phenomenon in the San Francisco Bay Area called the bomb, which is a late 30s, maybe early 40s car that is done up lowrider style and just very cool. Pinner wheels, pinner whites, pencil tip exhaust tips, and absolutely every accessory that you can get, the window air conditioning, the dash pipe holder, the fans, all that stuff. You throw all of it at it, and just a great look. And you see these all over the Bay Area, and you see the classic lowrider styles applied to even 80s and 90s cars like this. And I love it. I'm a big fan.
I like that.
And along those lines, here's another one.
Oh, same corner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yep.
What do they call that back? That was it a fastback? What was that called back then? That kind of
just a slant back. It came in actually a couple of different. There was a torpedo back, which was the longer slope. Came down to a point almost like a boat tail. There's slant backs, the torpedo back, but just a good looking car, even for a four-door.
That's a good look. And I love the windshield visor on that. That finishes it off for me. It's beautiful.
Yep. Yeah, this is a little later. I want to guess this is late 40s. But the 30s, you apply this style to a 30s car, with the eyebrow, we put all the curb feelers and the fender flags and all the stuff on it. And you've got a Bay Area bomb, which is a really neat style. Let's see. What do we have here? Ooh, van life.
That's a first gen. Either is it a Isuzu Oasis or it's a first gen Honda Odyssey. The same thing.
Wow, very cool.
That was the deal between Isuzu and Honda. Isuzu needed a minivan, so Honda gave him this thing, and then Honda needed a 4x4, so they gave him the Rodeo and rebadged it as the Passport. I think it was called.
Ah, okay.
So that could either be an Isuzu or a Honda, but that's a Honda underneath. Those things. That engine it had in it would last 400,000 miles. They were dynamite little minivans. You don't see them that often. I'm surprised they're very rare these days.
Huh. And especially done up with skirts and wheels, right?
I was like, yeah, where do you find a body kit for this thing?
Exactly. That is fairly amazing. Well, let's do a couple more here, and then I think we're bumping up against our hour time limit, and basically what everyone can stomach. Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Paging Nick Pond. And why Nick got attached to the Acti and the all the little vans, I don't know, but he's the first person that comes to mind when I see one of these.
It's just so cool, and it's 4-wheel drive too, which makes it even cooler. I mean, you and I
4-wheel
would fit
drive.
in it. Wow.
Yeah. 4-wheel drive, 10 feet long and like 6 foot high. So if you're going to take it off road, you're immediately going to fall over. First rock you hit's just going to make it roll.
You just bring your buddies. You just keep pushing it up vertical whenever you flip it over. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we have here. This might be our last one. Whoops. Let's see if I can bring that back. I don't know what happens to them once you turn them off.
No,
Let's see, where'd that go?
The interwebs have eaten it.
Yes, it's here somewhere. Here it is. All right. It just took a lot of scrolling. What is going on there?
You got a Ford Bronco, first gen Ford Bronco. You got the Porsche Cayenne, and whatever that. It looks like an old Dodge. Is that what that is?
Yeah, like a 37 Dodge or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite the eclectic group there, kind of strewn about a overgrown field. Kind of nice.
It's like the guy in the Cayman was like just pulled over to take a look. Like it doesn't belong in the car.
Yeah.
This has got to be Panama again. This has to be Panama.
Yeah, this has to be somewhere tropical. I possibly the United States. So you would think, but because of the Ford Bronco, and the Dodge, but man,
that Bronco,
we'll have to look up and see.
Man, would you let them tear around Central America in an old Bronco with a 302?
Oh, it'd be awesome.
My little burro.
Outstanding.
Nice.
Well, I think we've come to the end of our time, and probably the end of our audience's constitution to stomach our blithering. John, I'd like to thank you for helping me fill this hour with informative and fun car talk.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Certainly. Well, and the regular Thursday Therapy crew will be back next Thursday. So if you enjoyed this, you're out of luck. We won't do it again. If you didn't enjoy it, you're in luck because we won't do it again. So tune back in on next Thursday and stay safe, everyone. We'll see you at the Lemons events.
Right on. Take care, people.